Finding
And the
the
way
Gap
that Bing
is
just
a
kind of
documentary
used
film
that
from
as
last year directed
to the
by
film's
Bing Liu.
advantage as well. The documentary follows a group of kids. Well, they're not really kids anymore. They're like mid-20s, but they were once part of a big skateboarding group together when they were at school, and it just follows the lives of them post, school, post college, all that kind of stuff. And initially, when it starts out, you're thinking, what's this going to be about? Like, I mean, even me just saying that it's about a group of skateboarders, like, what can you make a documentary from that? Well, let me tell you, you can make some good shit, because this was amazing. Like, I absolutely adore this film. I thought it was incredible. There's going to be spoilers in this review, so I hope you don't mind. If you have seen it, stay along to listen to what I say. If not, just turn it off or whatever. Because I do want to delve into a lot of the themes that Bing managed to tackle with the documentary, and it became such a poignant film, to be honest. So what Bing does in this film, he follows this group of friends, and basically they're struggling with their ordinary life. They're really not getting to grips with the ordinary norms of adulthood, basically. They're all troubled guys who didn't have any guidance growing up. They all were victims of abuse, whether it be directly through violent abuse from their fathers or through abuse through watching their fathers beat up their mothers, basically. So while you could just look at these kids and be like, hey, like, come on guys, you got to suck it up. You got to get on with life. You got to work out how to be an adult. Well, that's easier said than done, especially for people that grew up in these kind of environments. Like, to have that sort of childhood, to have your father be so abusive and then your father die and you not have anyone to guide you into being a man, it's very difficult to sort of fucking live life. And so Bing tries to follow these people, get an understanding of their emotions, their day-to-day life, what it is that they want to do, how they cope with what they do, how they have to work the shittiest jobs, cleaning, and, the worst kind of down in the dumps kind of jobs you can think of. And yet all of them managed to find some kind of solace in skateboarding. Like, skateboarding wasn't just a fun thing to do, it was their life. One of the guys has a quote on their skateboard that says something like, skateboarding is to escape the heartache or something along those lines. And that same guy is also black. He talks about, dealing with racism. There are a few scenes actually where they're surrounded by some guys who say some like ignorant things, and he's just like, look, my dad once said to me, no matter how many white friends you have, you're always going to be black. They're always going to not understand the things that you go through in your ordinary life just by being a black person. And honestly, the documentary just follows so many little things that kind of come together in a really, really interesting way. Just listening to the way they talk about their life, to the way they talk about their childhood, their fathers. It kind of all leads to sadness, but in a really poignant way as well. You essentially see one of the guys turn into his father. I mean, he quotes his father a few times in the film, and kind of jokes and says, oh, my dad used to say this, and he would say it as if like, oh, my dad used to say stupid things. Like, it wasn't like a proud quote from his father, it was something ridiculous. But yeah, as time goes on, you see that he ends up having a child, but once he has a child, he becomes abusive to his girlfriend, and you see that he's ended up becoming like his father because his father did the exact same thing. And you basically just witness this cycle of abuse. Like, these people can't escape their past. Their past is stuck with them. At one point, the guy who also, has that child with his girlfriend says, like, look, some people are able to overcome these things. Some people are able to get past their barriers, and I'm just not one of those people. And it's at that point as well where the director, Bing, is like, well, look, like, I had a similar childhood to you. Why is it that I've turned out differently? And that's when you sort of understand the purpose of the documentary, because he talks to his mother and talks to her about his father and how he had basically a messed up childhood, and he also feels as though he's not very close to her either. And that's what I end up loving about this documentary, man, because it ends up having a bigger purpose than you initially imagine, because this isn't just, hey, look at these kids, they've grown up in pretty bad states and, you know, they had bad childhoods. It's more like, no, the director Bing is trying to understand things for himself as well. He's trying to get an understanding from these people to sort of feel like he can fit in, to find people to relate to, because they had a similar situation to what he had. And as a person that works, you know, with children and has worked in schools where there are children that have had some of the most horrific upbringings you could possibly imagine, it kind of hit a place for me, because, you know, it just makes you realize this is the real life. Like, for some people, like, this isn't just a film about a story that's overblowing things out of proportion. No, you see this actually happen in real time. Whenever children are going through awful things at home, their behaviors change, they become violent themselves, etc. And that's the reality they face. Like, that's just life, and it's a constant cycle of this. As you see the guy who has a child, like, you know, he's not with his girlfriend anymore because he was abusive to her. They were both abusive to each other as well, but then he's left, he's not in the scene anymore, and that child is growing up fatherless. It really is a pandemic. Like, it is what it is. It's a pandemic. It's something that's causing so many problems for so many people. Depression, anxiety, all of these things come from childhood and parents and upbringing and abuse and all those kind of things, and the film just really reflects on that without really having to like hammer in on all the points. It's not like, hey, this is what we're telling you. You just kind of take that all away just by watching it. Just really makes you ponder on so many things. I think the way Bing Liu directed this was phenomenal. Like, it was absolutely superb. The fact that there's a part in the film where one of the guys says, what I experienced when I was a kid is now called child abuse, it really hits hard. Like, that is such an awful moment in the documentary. Like, holy shit. Like, wow. Yeah, if you couldn't already tell, I absolutely adored this. Like, holy shit, this was unbelievably good. And the thing as well with the way, like, time moved by so quickly, like, pretty much 10 minutes in, like, it jumps straight into, like, their lives. And, you know, at the start they were just skateboarding around, and then it kind of moves quickly, just in the way that life just kind of moves on so quickly. You know, 1 minute you're just drinking beer every night, not really having a responsibility, then the next minute you're a father and you've got to fucking deal with it. It was also beautifully shot. Yeah, just one of the best films of 2018, easily. I'm going a 9 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen this. Thank you for watching as well. I thought it was a great film. Do go watch it. And yeah, thank you for listening to what I have to say. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews, and let me know what I can do to improve, as I'm still doing this like in the early days. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.